The Normandy Landings, or D-Day, was a brutal invasion that allowed the Allies to gain a foothold in France and begin to liberate the nation from German occupation. France had been taken by the Germans and the Nazis years before, and many people inside the country had suffered heavily. But the invasion of Normandy began just after midnight on the 6th of June 1944 with the huge aerial and naval bombardment of the coastline, and there was a huge airborne assault launched, with 24,000 American, Canadian and British airborne troops jumping out of an aircraft and landing behind enemy lines to support the attack. Across 5 beachheads, Utah, Omaha, Juneau, Sword and Gold, the fighting was intense, and there were thousands of casualties on both sides. My own grandfather was on Juneau, dropping Canadian soldiers onto the beach and also dropping military equipment and vehicles such as tanks on a day that would change history in the 20th century and forever. But one man who did not make it that day was Lieutenant Herbert Denham, Den Brotheridge, who died on D-Day. He is often remembered as to have been the first Allied soldier to be killed in action on D-Day. But what is his story? Welcome to The Untold Past. To support our channel, please make sure to subscribe. Den Brotheridge was from Staffordshire, and he was born on the 8th of December 1915. He had a rather normal upbringing, attending a technical school and college, and he played football and cricket. As a job, he became an inspector with the local council, and he married Margaret Plant, his beloved, on the 30th of August 1940. But he was then in 1942 commissioned into the Oxfordshire and Buckinghamshire Light Regiment, and he was placed in command of 25 Platoon in D Company in the 6th Air Landing Brigade, 6th Airborne Division. Brotheridge was on D-Day selected to lead the 1st Platoon across the Caen Canal Bridge in part of Operation Tonga. This was a code name given to the airborne operation of the British 6th Airborne Division, and the paratroopers and glider troops were to land on the eastern flank of the invasion area, close to the city of Caen, and they had a number of different objectives. The division was to capture 2 bridges over the Caen Canal and the Orne River, which were to be then used by Allied ground forces following the seaborne landings and following advancements being made by soldiers who landed on the beachheads. These troops were also ordered to destroy the Merville gun battery, which the Allies believed had a number of heavy artillery pieces that could cause problems for the soldiers who were landing on the beaches, and specifically the closest beach of Sword. The division was to then secure a beachhead and link up with the advancing Allied troops that landed on the beaches. It was Brotheridge who was to lead forces as mentioned across the Caen Canal Bridge. On the 5th of June 1944, at 10:56 p.m, the moon lit the night sky, and from RAF Tarrant to Rushden, a glider carrying Den Brotheridge and his men left England. They flew 70 miles eastward and crossed the English coast over Worthing, and at 12:16 a.m. they touched down in Normandy, close to the water tower at Benneville Bridge. Brotheridge then led the first charge of Allied soldiers across what today is known as Pegasus Bridge, an iconic landmark associated with the Normandy invasions. He fought valiantly, and along with his men, Brotheridge managed to knock out a machine gun post on the western bank of the Caen Canal, and he encountered problems as there was machine gun fire coming from the direction of a cafe on the other side of the canal. In this attack, Den Brotheridge was hit by machine gun fire, and he was then specifically struck in the back of the neck. This was a wound that became fatal, and he died from this, and he never regained consciousness in the early hours. He was just 28 years old, and he died in a casualty collection post in a trench between the Caen Canal and the Orme Bridge. He was cared for by members of the RAMC, and he today is buried in a war cemetery in Ranville Churchyard, close to Caen. For his valiant actions, Den Brotheridge was mentioned in dispatches, and the citation stated, Lieutenant Brotheridge's company was selected to take part in the coup de Marne assault by glider to seize the bridges of the Caen Canal at Benneville on the 6th of June 1944. His glider crash landed close to strong enemy defences, and some of the men were too stunned to get out quickly. Lieutenant Brotheridge, however, rallied the remainder and led them over the bridge in the face of superior numbers of enemy who were entrenched on the far bank with machine guns sighted to fire on the bridge itself. Lieutenant Brotheridge showed the highest qualities of leadership and bravery, and his outstanding example and dash was responsible for getting men across and seizing the bridge intact, a vital factor in the success of the airborne plan. He was granted an immediate military cross by Field Marshal Montgomery, but at the times the regulations prevented this award being confirmed, as a citation had not been given until after his death. There was another member of the platoon killed during the operation, and that was Lance Corporal Greenhalgh of the 14th Platoon. He was knocked unconscious following a crash landing, and was thrown out of his glider, and he died by drowning. Den Brotheridge was the first Allied soldier to be killed in action during D-Day, in what began the fight back to regain France from years of German occupation. His story is one which should not be forgotten, along with the other men who fought for freedom as they made the landing on the beaches that fateful day that changed history. Thanks for watching. To support our channel, please make sure to subscribe, and once again, thank you so much for watching.